These are my top 3 leg exercises to do. How to build some big ass wheels. I ain't got the biggest ass wheels, but I've got a decent set of wheels and a very strong set of wheels. Here's how I built mine. Or this is basically the top 3. If I only could choose 3, this is what I do. Number 1, and number 1 is the king of all exercises. Or actually the second king, or what's the next guy in line? The prince. Yeah, the prince. This is the prince of all exercises. The squats. And it is very difficult to do the squat if you don't have the correct technique, if you don't have the correct flexibility, the correct biomechanics. You need to focus on perfect form when doing squats. When you're doing squats, even a slight inch can't be off. It's not one of those exercises where you're chatting to your mate, doing the barbell curls, looking left and right, checking the mirror out, making sure everything's looking good. You got to be focused. Pick a spot on the top corner of where the wall meets the ceiling. That's how I do it. And I get the bar and I'm squatting down and up. I don't even look in the mirror, because when I look in the mirror, I often get put off. I look in the mirror thinking, yo, that's a big bicep vein. That's a big quad vein sticking out there. No, the truth is you're looking at depth instead of feeling the depth. So feeling the depth is when you're looking up, you know exactly how your body works, and then you squat the bar up. Whereas if you look in the mirror, you're looking at depth. So you're thinking, am I going down? Am I going down? Am I going down? Before you know it, you're doing this. You're falling forward where you need to keep upright. Anyway, this isn't an instructional video. There's other instructional videos on the page. And if you want to know exactly how to do this, fadihussein.com for all your programs. Anyway, number 1 exercise is squats. It does everything. It does hams, glutes, quads, calves, ankle flexion, hip flexion, back, shoulder mobility, everything. Your whole body gets trained in this, but mainly your legs, your arse and your quads. And if you're doing a bit more of a wide stance, you can even activate your hamstrings as well. So I just think it's a great exercise overall. I feel that when I do squats every day, it's every day, once a week. Well, once every 5 days I squat. That's my little cycle. Every time I do squats, it really helps with my flexibility. If I have back pain and I do squats, I feel better. When I go through periods of not squatting, my whole body's tight, my ankles are tight, my hips are tight. As soon as I start squatting, everything kind of loosens up. I'm sure you guys have heard this. I'm sure you all are well aware that you should, when you're stretching, you need to stretch with load. Loaded stretches are very, very important. Now, before I learned that loaded stretches were important, I used to do loaded stretches. How? Because I was training. So when I was doing the, sitting at the bottom squats, I posted a video the other day of me sitting in the hole for about 4 or 5 seconds with 200 kg in the squat. That was me doing a loaded stretch unintentionally. And now, after 10 years, science has proven that loaded stretching is great. So it's nice to have some sort of validation for things that I know that were good. Back in the days when we used to do them just because they felt good, and we used to think there was no science behind it. It was like, this feels good. I'm sure this is going to improve our squat, because my theory was, if I sit in the hole long enough, when I add more weight and I'm comfortable at being in the hole, I'm not going to get scared. I'm not going to cut the reps short. I'm going to hit depth. I'm not going to be afraid of going and sitting down with a heavy weight. If I can get used to sitting in the hole with 200 kilo, 260 kilo on a squat will be absolutely nice, because I can use a stretch reflex. So that was the theory back in those days. Come full circle now. Research has been done. There's guys on the internet saying, yep, loaded stretching is perfect. So that was another reason why I never had any hip issues, never had any ankle issues, never had any knee pain. Because if you've got knee pain, it's often not knees, it's more likely your hips or your ankles. So I did all these things like subconsciously, never knew why we used to do it. For the flexibility aspect, it was mainly just for training the muscle, but there was a lot of carryover in the flexibility and the just general well-being of how your body works. If you go to Asia, anywhere in Asia, even Africa, I've never been to Africa. Actually, I've been to Africa, but I've not been to Africa. People sit in the squat, and it's even called the Asian squat. There'll be a group of guys chatting, some old men, and they'll be sat down in the squat position. So it's very natural for them to do it. Their spines are more healthy. There's less back pain doctors in Asia than anywhere else in the world. Why? Because they generally have healthy spines. Whereas when you come to the Western world, there's a spinal doctor on every single corner. Chiropractors are packed full to the brim. There's a waiting list. I tried to get a chiropractor appointment about a year ago when I just hurt my back a slight bit while I was kind of twinged a little bit. I rang up about 5 or 6 of them. Every single one of them, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4-week waiting list. Couldn't get in to see one. That's how crazy it is. I was in Thailand not too long ago. Saw one there. Can I get in today? Yeah, nobody's popping. Went in, it was dead. Nobody was there. I was on my own for hours. This is what I'm trying to say. So we know back pain is a big issue over here. So please do the loaded stretches like the squat. Number 2, leg press. Now, the reason why I like the leg press, if you do it with full range of motion, is because you're using a lot of weight. There's no other exercise in the whole gym or the whole training program that you're going to use any more weight on. A leg press is one of those ego lifts you can pile the weight on, but I'm not saying pile the weight. I'm just saying make sure your body feels that load correctly, all the way down, all the way up. I tend to go for sets of 20 repetitions. I don't do the low 3, 4, wrap my knees up and do all that kind of stuff. If you want to lift heavy, bro, if you think you're strong and you want to put yourself to a test, go and squat. Put the bar in your back, none of that pad. Put the raw iron back, stainless steel, whatever it is, on your back and squat. Let's see how strong you are. Don't tell us how strong you are on the leg press. We're all strong on the bloody leg press. But I still think it's number 2 in there because it's a good exercise where you can maximize the weight, load it up, go all the way down, all the way up, and it just strengthens your nervous system. Everything, your CNS is firing, just like the squats, and it's nice to feel that load, and it's also very good for your quads and a slight bit hamstring. Now, obviously, hamstrings tend to get the least hit when we're doing squats and leg press. This is why I say the exercise, the third best exercise for your legs is the standing or the laying down, not the seated. I don't like the seated one, the laying down or the standing leg curl. I always do these single leg at a time. The reason why I like to isolate each leg, it is an exercise. It is a body part that is very prone to injuries. Be very, very careful with it. I have done at least 3 different tutorials on this on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Look at my reels, you'll find it in there. Start slow and then explode in the last 70% of the exercise, but always the first 15, 20, 30%, start very, very slow. It is one of the most commonly injured body parts when you're squatting, when you're doing deadlifts, or just generally when you're running. A lot of people have tore their hamstring. It's a very easy thing to tear, to pop, to injure, whatever. So be very, very mindful when you're training hamstrings. Don't just go for it and think, right, yeah, I'm going to go crazy like a squat. Be very, very mindful. So there you have it, my top 3 exercises for legs. And I know you're thinking, what's this guy doing with calves? He's left the calves out. What's going on here? Now, guys, this is a bonus point part of this video. I'm going to explain the best exercises for calves as well. For calves, really, there's 2 exercises. Let me break it down for you. Without getting too technical, if you straighten your leg out, so there's no bend in your knee, straight leg, that is your calf, or the gastrocnemius as they call it. It's the diamond-shaped muscle from the side. You can see it. It's, some guys have a diamond shape, but you know what I'm trying to say. It has that kind of a shape to it. As long as your leg is straight, your knee is not bent, and you raise your toe, so you do your tiptoes, you can do it on the leg press, laying down. You can do it with a bar on your back if you are in a Smith machine, because you don't want the you don't want the extra load of going back and forwards. So do it in a Smith machine, or nowadays you can get machines that allow you to keep your legs straight, go up and down, tiptoes, all the way stretched at the bottom, stretched at the top. I like heavyweight, high reps. Toes pointing forward, toes pointing in, toes pointing out. I have a tutorial video on my YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, so please follow and watch that. Now, if you want to train the meaty part, this muscle, soleus, you cannot see the muscle. It's actually hidden behind the gastro. It's the muscle that gives it the depth, the kind of like the mass. The way you hit that is seated. So seated, calf raises, again the same. Loads of weight, loads of reps. Seated, again, same. Toes facing forward, toes facing in, and toes facing out. Do 10, 10, 10. Take plenty of rest in between. Don't do no supersets or anything like that. Maximum weight when it comes to calves. As much weight as possible. When I first wanted my calves to grow back in the days, I had very skinny calves. I come from an athletic sprinting background, so my calves just weren't that muscular. They were very strong though. What I used to do is I used to train them every single day. I used to do 1 day standing, straight-legged, 10, 10, 10. 3 sets, heavy as fuck. Next day, seated, 10, 10, 10, same 3 sets, heavy as hell. And I did that every single day for a month, and I added about 1.5 inches on my calves. Yes, you heard it, guys. 1.5 inches. So I can easily, if you've got small calves and you want to add some size on your calves, do them every single day. Heavy weight, high reps. None of this low rep stuff on calves. Make sure you're smashing the hell out of your calves. So that is the top 3 exercises for legs and the bonus one, calves. If this video gave you any value, comment down below and like it.